Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboine Downs Gaming and Event Center. And be sure to tune in to Trust the Profits Live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Matthew DeSantis.
Salutations and welcome, friends. I'm your host to this episode of the Belmont Stakes Spotlight Series. My name is Matthew DeSantis. You can find me on Twitter at the handle at Failed to Menace. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Trust the Profits and our special Belmont Spotlight Series. This episode, we are going to devote to one of the other Brad Cox horses, which is Tapit Shoes. Of course, we talked a little bit about Hit Show already on our series, so make sure to check that one out. Before we get into this, make sure to press that subscribe button to get all of our great content here on Trust the Profits, from weekly live betting shows that we just have with Assiniboia, that cocktail lounge on Thursday nights, handicapping shows, graded stakes previews. We have guests on throughout the horse racing industry. There's a lot of great content here. If you are interested in any track anywhere in the world, we got you covered here on Trust the Profits. So make sure to press that subscribe button. Additionally, make sure to like this video and comment below with what chances do you give Tapit Shoes at winning the 2023 Belmont Stakes. Well, let's dive into this intriguing horse who's probably going to be a little bit of a price at this year's Belmont Stakes and was a little bit of a surprise entry on the probables list going out a couple of 2 weeks before the race actually goes off. This was a horse that was not actually on the probables list when Colin Sheehan and I did our very early first look a couple weeks ago, but rather is now just emerged recently as a horse that is likely going to be pointed towards this race. And I feel bad for Tapit Shoes in this regard. The picture that you see up there of him, he's the number 9 horse in that picture. Ultimately, he got nabbed by number 4, Red Route 1, in that particular race. He ran a very, very, very close second that day. Red Route 1 just barely got up in time in the Bathhouse Row Stakes that day at Oaklawn Park. But Tapit Shoes is a nice horse, and I think you'll see some things that are nice about him. But again, this is a horse that has faced some really solid competition in some really good circuits and is now coming up and stepping up in class. Certainly has never run in a graded stakes race before, so this is a big step up, but there are some things to suggest that he'll be able to take to it well. So let's dive into Tapit Shoes in a little bit more detail, and let's just look at kind of the career overall and a little bit start with the pedigree as well. Number one thing you see, Tapit. And for some people, that's everything you need to see about the Belmont Stakes, because 4 of the last 9 winners sired by Tapit. He is the sire of champions. He is the sire of the Belmont Stakes. Absolutely. That Tapit bloodline has proven so valuable in terms of these horses stretching out, being able to get those marathon distances, being able to just run longer and longer than so many of the other competitors. Dam is by Flower Alley, so there's nice pedigree underneath as well. You have Brad Cox as the trainer. Kent DeSormo is the jockey. And you see, though, when you look at the career record, it doesn't really stand out. 5 career starts, only 1 win, has hit the board 3 times out of 5 efforts, and has never run in a graded stakes race. That said, if you look at the way that this horse has progressed, there's a lot of things to like. This horse started out in a maiden at Churchill, ran a 69 equibase speed figure, came back at Fairgrounds, broke his maiden with an 83, then runs a nice optional allowance claiming race that day at the LeCompte undercard, runs a 90 equibase, then comes back in the Risen Star undercard, runs another nice allowance optional claiming race, but finishes 3rd that day. Was running against some nice horses in both of those instances, and you see the equibase speed figure continue to go up, then goes to Oaklawn, goes to the bench for about 2 months, comes back, goes to the Bathhouse Row Stakes, and looks like he has that race won with a 102 equibase speed figure, so a big jump up again. And like I said, if it was not for a miraculous late running trip and late ride by Joel Rosario on Red Route 1, certainly Tapit Shoes would have been the horse likely pointed towards the Preakness Stakes as a result, and running in that race rather than coming here to the Belmont. But there's progression there from a standpoint of what has this horse been able to accomplish. So there are some things to like, and from an equibase speed figure standpoint, there's pedigree to like, certainly up top. This horse has run against nice competition at the fairgrounds. Obviously ran against a horse like Red Route 1, who's going to be in this field as well at the Belmont Stakes, and ran 4th at the Preakness. So, just barely lost to a horse like that. And here's the other thing I like about Tapit Shoes. And maybe what I like most about Tapit Shoes is this horse can sit a few different types of trips. He's versatile. He can sit pretty close and he's comfortable sitting close to the lead. I think that's going to be important because National Treasure should be the lone speed in this race. We've just seen some workouts from National Treasure where Johnny Velasquez really pushes the horse to go fast early and then slows him down. He's getting him used to that because that's exactly what they're going to do at the Belmont. They're going to shoot out of the gate. They're going to get the lead, and then they're going to slow it down a little bit. That's the goal for National Treasure, and he's going to be able to do that in all likelihood because there's not a ton of other horses that are going to apply a lot of lead pressure on him. Nobody else really wants the lead in the way that National Treasure does, or has the ability to get to the lead the way that he does. And so you have a lot of stalking horses potentially sitting a little off of this. We talked about Hit Show previously on one of these spotlight series. Maybe Hit Show sits a little closer to the lead, but Tapit Shoes is a horse that can sit comfortably not too far off, can sit a length or two off the lead and be very comfortable in that sort of a spot. So you would figure that's a handy spot to be in. He would get first crack at National Treasure if he's got the goods, if he's got horse underneath him. Kent DeSormo, I do not discount on a big day as well. He has ridden far too many horses beautifully over the years. I mean, that ride on Stiletto Boy just recently in the big cap out at Santa Anita was absolutely incredible. So, listen, Kent can do some amazing things on a horse, and it's good to see him back and healthy and doing things the right way again. But, certainly Tapit Shoes, I think a horse that's very dangerous in that regard and can sit the right type of trip. Now, listen, when push comes to shove, when DeSormo asks for this horse for something going around that very far turn and starting to turn for home, we'll see if he's got something underneath him. We'll see if he actually has the goods, so to speak. This is a big step up in class. It's one thing to run an enlisted stakes race at Oaklawn. It's a whole nother thing to run the Belmont Stakes, Big Sandy, 1.5 miles. But you would assume from a pedigree standpoint, this horse should like the distance. This horse can sit, like I said, a useful trip, relatively close to the pace, not get burned out, though, at the same time, and have something left for home. It's a nice maturing horse. And what I also like is this is another horse that's going to have plenty of time off now from the Bathhouse Road Stakes to the time that they're running this Belmont. So you get another kind of 6 weeks. This is going to be a horse that's very fresh. It is actually going to be a little bit fresher than those horses coming from the Derby straight to the Belmont. So this is a fresh horse that's got some versatility. It's going to be a big price on the board because here's the thing about the rest of this field is there are 4 or 5 horses that people absolutely love in this field. People are going to bet on National Treasure. People are going to bet on Forte. People are going to bet on Tapit Trice. People are going to bet on Red Route 1. People are going to bet on those horses. You can absolutely guarantee it. People love Red Route 1. I don't care. I know our commenters are rather split over that horse to some extent, but people love that horse. They're going to throw money at Red Route 1 because that's what they do. It's a matter of whether or not, where the board goes on Tapit Shoes. I think this is a long shot. I might use this as a horse underneath. I don't know this horse has the goods. I know there's a few of you out there. I know Henry Dembski in particular, who's an active commenter on our page, absolutely loves this horse. He's been on Tapit Shoes. God bless him. He's like me on Simplification. He's been on Tapit Shoes for what feels like months, really hyping up this horse. I thought he was going to get the win at the Bathhouse Road Stakes. It didn't end up happening, but some people really like this horse. They really like the pedigree. They really think this horse just needed more ground. It just needed a little bit of a time to mature, needed the right type of setup, the right type of race. That's certainly possible, and he could end up getting that sort of setup in the Belmont. I'm not as high on him as others in that regard, but I'm also not completely discounting him. I think he's got a shot. I would probably include him in deeper vertical exotics like a trifecta or a superfecta in this particular race, maybe catch a little bit of a price underneath. I do think, like I said, he'll sit the right type of trip. And I think there are enough other horses that there are legitimate question marks about that you could say, well, maybe this horse actually does check a few boxes that I kind of like. And I might actually like this horse a little bit more at a bigger price. That's the other thing is, if you were to say, who do you like more just straight up, Tapit Shoes or Red Route 1, well, I probably like Red Route 1 more. But if you tell me Red Route 1 is 6-1 and Tapit Shoes is 20-1, well, I probably like Tapit Shoes a little bit more in that case. And so those are things you have to take in consideration when you're thinking about putting together ticket structure and the stuff along those lines. So Tapit Shoes, like I said, an interesting horse, one to keep an eye on as well. I really do want to see how does that horse look training leading up to the Belmont. And then I think he's an important horse to look at on the day of a little bit. He's never been under the bright lights before. This is going to be his biggest stage. A lot of people, he ran on the undercard of some big days, but this is a big day for him. And so it'll be interesting to see just how does he handle all of the people, all of the buildup. How does he, what is his temperament like in the paddock, et cetera? Always something to keep an eye on when taking a look at a horse in a new spot. Well, listen, folks, thanks so much for coming into this episode of the Belmont Stakes Spotlight Series on Tapit Shoes. Listen, make sure to press that subscribe button here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and comment below with what chances do you give Tapit Shoes? I know Henry's going to be down there in the comments saying he's putting some money to win on him. What do you think? Are you going to be putting some money to win on Tapit Shoes? Let us know. Well, until next time, friends, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and profitable day at the races and reminding you that it's now post time.